Hello everyone and welcome to the stream. This is Otaku Showboat. Today is Sunday, June 28th, 2020. If you are watching the VODs on YouTube, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and if you are so inclined, head on over to twitch.tv/Otaku Showboat to leave a follow to be notified when I go live Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to approximately 1 p.m. US Eastern Time. You can do all of the social stuff through the links below the video, including supporting Pyandon's Mods Development at patreon.com/Pyandon and myself at patreon.com/Otaku Showboat. So, we're gonna go straight into the game today because, yeah, a lot has changed. A very significant amount of stuff has been changed. In particular, the very first thing to note is startup settings for Bob's modules. I have unticked this little tick box right here. Productivity limitations. What does this do? Well, it basically makes every recipe that exists except productivity. And all of the implications therein. Every single recipe can accept productivity. Am I going to use productivity on every single recipe? Of course not. Can I use productivity on every single recipe, even though this check mark is unticked? No, because every building that has a building limitation on productivity still retains that limitation, so I cannot use productivity on any machine that does not accept productivity modules. Now, I have overridden, very specifically, these over here. These, let's see, what are they called again? The molecular assemblers. I have overridden these because, I mean, obviously, these are intermediates. I mean, these are obviously intermediates and should have productivity. There is a very key balance issue about being able to do productivity on literally everything, and that is the fact that there are loops of stuff. Say, for example, I were to use productivity here on this cold air recipe that is taking in 22.5 liquid nitrogen and outputting 225 nitrogen. Well, as it turns out, 225 nitrogen make 22.5 liquid nitrogen. So the only thing you have to spend here is like the gasoline under normal circumstances. Well, what happens if I use productivity here? Well, then I end up with more nitrogen than what I start with. And that is a problem that is breaking the laws of thermodynamics, as Python loves to say, and is something that I will attempt to avoid wherever possible on any instance where something gets returned at some point during a production chain. Now, this in particular applies to things like this that's returning nitrogen and uses the liquid and it's supposed to be one-to-one. I will not apply that to stuff that's taking in water and outputting steam, like, I mean, come on. Just, that's going to be an exception that I will absolutely use productivity on stuff that outputs more steam than the water in for it, because I'm just going to vent the steam anyway. I'm not even going to loop back the water. It doesn't matter. Where it does matter is instances like this, where I am making caged animals from cubs, and it's consuming one-to-one on the number of cages. So when I make the cages and then I slaughter the animal and it gives the cage back, that is a closed cage system if I use productivity here, which I can on the slaughterhouse use productivity at this point in time. It would end up giving more cages back over time. So that's producing cages out of nothing, which is what we're trying to avoid here. That's why productivity is not allowed on these to begin with. In fact, maybe here's a thing for Pinedon. Maybe make slaughterhouses have a building limitation against productivity modules. Maybe make that a building level limitation. That being said, there are slaughterhouse recipes for slaughtering creatures that are not caged. And in those circumstances, I will use productivity. Because there are some things that get processed that do not involve cages in the system, and that loop does not exist. So I will do productivity there. Now, you may have noticed the actual base is a little bit different, the mall area. All of my bots are now Mark II bots. Every single bot is a Mark II bot now. I have 9,208 of these Logi bots, of which 7,000 are currently doing nothing because backups and all of that. I have 5,392 Mark II construction bots as well because I did a little bit of growth of the aluminium tile. Just a little bit of growth of the aluminium tile. I have added in a whole bunch of my pie off the rails 2x2s. I basically just added 4 of my electric grid network setups in here. Put 4 of them, so I have this nice little grid placed in here. What was here was some Rauk cocoons that were completely superfluous, so they are deleted. In fact, I went through and I just deleted a lot of stuff from the actual main bus. You may notice the performance is a little bit higher. The performance is a little bit higher than the last stream, despite adding a whole bunch of stuff up in here, adding this beautiful thing to the station, just adding this station for the mall. This is all going to be mall stuff now, a brand new herringbone design. So this is 20 stations. They can be input or output. They're set up mostly for unloading at the moment. However, I do have loaders here for very specific things that we will talk about shortly. And I have a little expandable depot down here for anything that I do put on in this section in here. And it can be expanded outwards to the right. Like this is slightly in the way, but I may redo this at some point rather soon anyway, because there's lots of implications of stuff. Now, I have biopolymer. That is a new thing that has been added because this is a very key ingredient for making Mark III automated factories, and I really wanted Mark III automated factories because of their 4 module slots with my current settings, startup settings for the Pi suite. The 4 basically lets me use 4 of the level 5 modules, Bob's modules, which gives me a plus 100% productivity on any automated factory that uses these. And of course, I'm not really going to use them for final products for the most part. On final buildings, let's say that I'm not going to use productivity on buildings. That's going to be another limitation because I can, with the current Bob's module setting, use them for making buildings, but no, I will not. I will, however, use them here, which is actually normal. In case you didn't notice in the last stream, you can absolutely use productivity modules on the production of level 2 and level 3, unless that was fixed, robots. So your Logi bots and your construction bots can absolutely use productivity module by default without any additional shenaniganry and settings and all of that. That is standard. And because I've now said that out loud, expect it to be changed. But these are not buildings, and therefore I'm using productivity on them. So yeah, any like building stuff, I won't use them for the belts either. Speaking of belts, I now have the stackers in blue, so now that means I now have the stackers in green. Yeah, I've got the green belts now. The ultimate belts mod. Green level. The first level of the ultimate belts mod. It gives a 30 underground distance, which is the same as blues, but yeah, it'll get upgraded over time, and these have a 90 per second belt speed, and that is important because I am now designing around that concept. Also, modules themselves. Making modules can also use productivity with that particular setting. So yeah, let's make more modules, more modules, all the modules. I need every single module in existence. I also have power armor now with an exoskeleton, so no more tiny armor Mark II. It's power armor. It's the exact same number of inventory slots though between the two things. The only new thing here is, well, belt immunity equipment and exoskeletons and a few more solar panels. That's the only thing that changed because we have the beautiful and glorious stuff known as circuit 3s. In fact, I have a huge thing full of circuit 3s. Yeah, so silver foam happened along with the silver zinc alloy that is just place the building, which then was just place the building, which then was pretty much just place the building. Nalgus bacteria, again, it's like just place the building. I've got all of these things we have, so it's just like place the building, and you have that bacteria, and then place the building. All that's left here on the biopolymer is the sporopollenin. Of course, I'm using the sporopollenin recipe, and that is being made somewhere up there, right up here. Uh, Bioreactors building level limitation cannot do productivity on them, so this is just Bodospores, Navens spores, and Renea. And guess what I have in my mall right over here? A little bit of Renea. Just a little bit. Just enough to get the biopolymer going. So that was the main, off-screen new thing, was that addition of biopolymer, and what that allowed was a lot of useful Mark III stuff, including the glorious and beautiful automated factories here. Because remember, we made the volumetric energy capacitors last time, so all that was left was the biopolymer, and that gave beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Lots and lots of beautiful stuff are able to be made now, including compost plants, including the Mark III botanical nurseries, and the slaughterhouses, and the microorganism mines, and all of the Pi High Tech buildings are Mark III, including the molecular assemblers, the pulp mills, the electronics factories, chip shooters, PCB factories, clay miners, and FB reactors, as well as, some of the Pi pH stuff, specifically the gas refinery, now exists. So yeah, stuff exists for Mark IIIs, and I am now prepared for what we're going to be doing today. Now, specific things that I have done elsewhere outside of the mall area, I have added productivity to the rare earth oxide production facility. That's one of those smaller little optimization things. I needed more rare earth oxide, so I came over here and I made more. We're Mark II stuff with some amounts of productivity at initial levels of productivity stuff. I need to go back and actually add more. But yeah, I've got a more sufficient quantity compared to previously. Let's see. I have done a lot of planning. I have ash production, more dedicated ash production in here. This is 90 per second of ash out of oil, basically. It's oil into biomass into hot air flue gas into ash. Lots and 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 lots of ash, and it's like a whole bunch of hot air to do that, but I needed more ash for stuff. Let's see. Raw fiber has also been very much expanded into that 90 per second realm of raw fiber, and yes, it's only 6 buildings now, because kickalk plantations are another one of those things that now are at Mark 3. So it's more module slots in them. It goes up to 75 slots per building from 50. So a 25% gain in speed there. But I also now have access to the growth factor recipes for kickalk. And I am doing the best recipe, the highest top kickalk recipe that exists, which is let's go and have a look at the kickalk recipes. The best that's not the smart farms, I should say, and that is this recipe: the lamps, ash, sand, biomass, fertilizer, seeds, growth factor, clay, carbon dioxide, and water. It outputs 39 kickalk per craft, which is just absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Now, speaking of the growth factor, of course, I needed to make growth factor, and I did post some screenshots of this. Don't mind the extreme amounts of soil there, but yeah, growth factor was just place a building. I am bioprinting pineal glands right now, so it was just place the building. So I placed the building, and now I have growth factor. Same with resveratrol. All I had to bring in was Yotoi aloe fruit from my network, and I have resveratrol, which means I can now grow cubs. Well, I can now grow a lot more plants than normal, but I can also now, with both of these, grow the cubs slash pups slash calves in a 2-to-1 ratio into adults. Previously, like normally, it's 1-to-1 calves to adults. By adding growth factor and resveratrol, it makes it 2-to-1. So, yes, I would like to have double the things. Double the things. Right here, 10 cubs, 20 caged adults. Yeah, I would very much enjoy having double the output from cubs. And yes, this is just some simple gas bladders, very very simple gas bladders. I have all the things for the food here. That'll be for the pheromones. That will be for pheromones, but we have to get alien enzymes and cryodron seeds before we can make the pheromones. What do the pheromones do? Well, the pheromones actually increase your cub output significantly. So by adding the pheromones, you can increase the number of cubs that you get, and then adding the growth factor and resveratrol makes the cubs make way more adults, double the amount of adults. So that's how those specific things interact. Now, I don't know about using antivirals. For the most part, they will be useful when making perfect samples, though. Slash needed to make perfect samples the way that I want to make the perfect samples. So this is going to come into play. I will need these. Research centers cannot use productivity. Sadly, they are limited by that. But they produce a ton of antivirals. I've taken quite a few purple science techs, by the way, off of just the vat brain purple science thus far. My vat brain is running quickly. I have beaconed my vat brain so that it produces more. It basically consumes all of my pi science as I make it and converts it into purple, which is just, astounding. So with all of that, there's only 2 more things to mention that I've done off screen, one of which I did earlier today, which is I have now done the Mark III combustion turbines. The Mark III combustion turbines are placed, replacing the 30 Mark IIs with 20 of the Mark IIIs in this location and in this location right across the rails. just these two locations, so I still have some Mark II turbines elsewhere, but these were by far the main production facilities here. And that turned these into from 1 gigawatt factories to about 1.5 gigawatt factories. So between these two, we went from 2 gigawatts to 3 only by changing the actual combustion turbines, which is fantastic. All right, that just leaves one last thing. So coke production. Coke production, as well as these beautiful electric mining drill Mark IIs. So for a very long time, I've had the mod installed for adding Mark II versions of electric mining drills. And I haven't actually been able to use them until I got Circuit 3s, because these need Circuit 3s to build them. And I think they use Speed Module 1s or something like that to produce them from basic mining drills, upgrading mining drills, something along those lines. These are twice as fast and have 5 module slots in them. And what I've done here, of course, is mining 90 per second. Mining of 90 per second per line. So this is 90. This is 90. This is 90. And this is 90. It's a slightly more than 90, but effectively 90. And that gets processed in these doohickeys. 24 beaconed Mark II high-pressure furnaces with productivity. What is the total output of all this? 500 and something. I have forgotten. It is like each of these is 90 out. So what's 90 times 6? Let's do that. It's 540. 540. 540. Yeah. Coke per second. I needed more coke, so I got more coke. I mean, I have 540 coke per second here now. It is, I think, literally limited by the speed of the bulk rail loaders at this point. But yeah, I've got coke now. I've got all of the coke now. It is glorious and wonderful and magnificent. So, with all of that out of the way, the plan for the day is to end up with alien enzymes in sufficient quantities to do what I need for them through the rest of the game, basically. And then, what we're going to end up noticing is that by getting the alien enzymes, I'll have the coded containers, which only leaves the control units, which is just place the building, and nuclear samples, which is also just place the building. So, or buildings, plural, at this point. So we're going to get purple science today. I am pretty sure we're going to end up with purple science today. It all depends on how quickly I can set up a few very specific things. Specifically, Navens, phadai, and Vonix. Navens, phadai, and Vonix are the 3 things in particular that I need. I also need a little bit of diamonds. Just a few diamonds. Also, I noticed in the code, because we're about to do something very crazy with the diamonds, just like with the just like with this stuff, the vanadium. We're going to do the same thing with diamonds. However, the thing about these particle accelerators, yeah, so they're no longer going to have productivity. They're going to have a building level limitation on productivity, which is just dumb. Because every one of the actual conversion recipes that use like the crystallographic substrate and all that, all of those conversion recipes have recipe level limitations on productivity by default anyway. No proper vanadium build, not yet. We'll get there. we'll get there, but I sort of want to have some of the things that we're going to make that are using the alien enzymes for doing that build. Specifically, I want recombinant erythropoietin Ziphos for this, and I want the antivirals as well. So these two things together, it's going to require a bit of setup of stuff to get that. But yeah, I want this recipe. Is that the best recipe? In fact, I think so. Is that the one that uses growth factor? That is not the one that uses growth factor. Give me the one that uses the growth factor. Like, seriously. Seriously. Like, 5 Zippo pools to get the 15 per second vanadium out worth of blood. Like, yeah. Also, yes, productivity, because no cages here. Yeah, so the plan is using stuff that we don't have yet to do the real vanadium chain, making 15 out at least. So, enzymes, yes. Arthurian eggs I have already modified on them all. Also, you are, of course, going to give me industrial diamonds. Here, so for the longest time here, I've had Arthurian eggs being made. Well, now they use the quality food to make the eggs. I'm uncertain if I have something even better to make the eggs. Probably. Once I get pheromones, actually. Once I get pheromones, I'll be able to get even more eggs out of it, thanks to pheromones. But yeah, it's just food. Quality food, which is stuff. Guar, casein. Guar gum, excuse me, and casein were the two main things. So guar, gum, here, and then casein was just bring it in off the train network. Big breath. All right. So as I said, I need Navens, Phadai, carapaces, as well as Vonix venom for this particular build. Now, Navens, I don't need 5 of them. I need, like, just under 2 total, but we're going to build 5. And we're going to do this recipe here for them. This is not the best Naven recipe, but it is probably the best of the options, because the other recipes after this require that canalgus bacteria, and don't particularly cut down on the usage of other stuff significantly enough to be worth that expenditure, in my opinion. But it does significantly cut down on the number of buildings. So we need 33 Mark II Naven cultures, each with 7 Naven modules. We need 3 Mark III spore collectors to get enough Naven spores. These have module slots too, so I could make them even faster and only need 1 in the end. I'm going to pin this so that I know what I'm doing. And we're going to build this in the mall. Just because. And in fact, the vast majority of everything that I'm going to do from here on out is going to be in the mall. For reasons that we will get to shortly. In particular, I have done a significant amount of planning. You may or may not have noticed that I have done a significant amount of planning, and I've looked at intelligent units, and you know what? A lot of this is just place the freaking buildings down, and I can have intelligent units. Once I unlock the techs to get access to the items, it's just place the building down and I have the item. It's nothing particularly new. There's some additional processing of stuff that we have, like the zinc processing up to the nano compounds and the nano complex. There's some Relesia extract that we need to make in here as part of that, but that's the most complex thing, really, in here. However, heavy fermion material is going to require that I have to do the uranium processing chain. So we still have to do that. But with that being the blocker and that unlocking so much else, it's like, really, just uranium. Just uranium. And I think the same thing really applies in space science. Like, a lot of this, for the exception of the yellow cake and the contained strangelets, which, of course, I have a plan on the contained strangelets side of things as well. It's just place the buildings down, and this has just been a thing that's been part of the pie sweep for a long time. So we are a lot further in than I had been thinking. We are a lot closer to being finished with this playthrough than we might think, because a lot of it is just place buildings, place buildings, place buildings, and that's it. We're done. And that is that. So I need my Navens. I have some Navens right here. I need a slightly more than 300, actually. Just remembering the math, it is... That is not the... Let's go back here, and then hit summary. It is... Oh, it's actually 231. Okay, cool. I'm thinking of previously with a different recipe that didn't use the growth factor, I'm pretty sure. Where did I leave my Naven buildings? Right here. There we go. And my bots will handle this. So there's a reason why I built all this. So that we can do exactly this type of thing. I need 33 of these. How many? 5. Alright, well, that's a start. That is a start. We haven't actually built these before, by the way, so just note the Navens are different. Yeah, so you can see here, Nalgus bacteria, not necessarily worth the upgrade here over the stuff that doesn't use Navens. We go from 10 to 14 and 15. It doesn't cut the other stuff significantly enough by adding in that really expensive bacteria. I feel that bacteria is far too expensive by comparison to the gains that you get by reducing the costs of the other stuff. And what I've also come to realize is that, yeah, thanks to the quality of the growth hormone recipes, specifically, as well as like the pheromones and the antivirals and all that good stuff, it does sort of make the stuff for the stuff for the things, yes, being very, very specific. It makes the upgraded mark levels of the modules to be somewhat superfluous. I know that's sacrilege, but yeah, like a lot of the it's fine staying at Mark 1 modules. Like it's not that bad. I mean, it would make a lot more sense with Navens. Like, don't get me wrong, I wish there was a Naven breeding program. I wish that King would finish the breeding program stuff. But yeah, this is oops, that's the spacing I want. But like most other things besides this, thanks to the gains added with the growth factor and the other stuff here that I'm building in here, thanks to all that, it's like so very nice. Why does it seem like this night vision isn't even working? I don't know. I do not know. Nor do I think I particularly care. There we go. So that's 10. 10! 20! I don't think I can really... Yeah, that's a shame. I'll put the spores down in there. 30! You know what? We'll overproduce. We'll overproduce on these. We'll have 40 of them. It'll be fine. We're already overproducing by having 5. Just by the way. 5 is already overproducing. I need you. Ooh, I didn't end up grabbing that. I did for that, though. Alright. Oh, right. Rotation. Rotation must have happened. Alright, good. Just add water. It's only 1 water well required for this. Oop. Would help if I aimed correctly. And what I can do... here... No. I mean, that would work if I was 1 tile down here. And here. And doing that provides water in everything once it slowly fills up. And then it's just a matter of shift-clicking to get stuff brought in. Oh, right, I need to bring the special substrate in. So I will use the features of the game and of my train supply manager to do this. So this is the mall special substrate. Alright. Go to the requester train stop and priority assignments and find mall special substrate. So scroll down to special substrate and I can add right in here the request for the special substrate, if I can find it in the stupid list of stuff. It's here somewhere. I know I can search, it's just, there you are. There you are. And then just, like, click the E again, and what we'll see is it is on its way. Magically, I don't have to be there. I don't have to run over and take that time to go over there for that. Just add my glorious spore collector down, 1 tile down, with its beautiful output. Just add power and speed modules, giving me Naven spores, 0.8, and there's the spores being produced. Now I have to just take that. I'm going to copy, go to map view, and just paste over all of these, because again, I don't have to move. By doing it this way, I don't have to move.